called, let's see, what's a good name for this? How about just file cd? File callback. And we want it to get an integer as its input. Want it to be a callback. So let's apply that. There we go. Let's make sure that our OK callback is a file callback. And when we're dealing with open, let's do file open. There we go. And now we can hide that component. For a slave selection, we're going to do the same thing. I'm not going to show it this time. I'll just do it. Fill out our save. Okay. So now our callbacks have been set up for those two operations. And let's generate the C for that. All right. Let's see what it looks like. Open file. Cancel. All right, looks good. File saved. All right, let's generate the C. All right, and now we have a new callback, so let's change that. We're going to need all the data again, so let's keep that around like so. Let's add something for file open, file save, like so, and we're going to need another callback. So let's make sure that it gets added. Okay. We've done our C-side work. Let's add this to our list of callbacks. Okay. Added those. And now let's actually define our constants that we use there, open and save, like so. Now let's get a definition going. SCB file is going to receive in a widget its action and data. And what should that look like? Well, firstly, we know we're going to update our status message, so let's just do something that makes sense with that. We know we've got something like that. We know we're going to want to work on the edit text, since we're going to be saving and opening to that. So let's do get edit text widget from there. And we know we want to do something similar to how we did our clipboard constant handling, like so. But this time we only have open and save. Otherwise, we don't know what's going on. There we go. Okay. So the last thing, after we have done our open and save, we do want to unmanage the widget. In other words, we want to pop down our file selection box. So let's make sure we do that. And this is a pretty good template to start with. Let's go ahead and put in our operations. Let's say file open from, and we will assume that we get some sort of path here. For the moment, I can just assume it's an empty path, or let's say, something I don't know. USB, let's do file save to some path again. All right. Now we have our basic operations. And let's test this out, see if it works. To start with, well, I compiled things. All right, now we can run it. Let's save a file. Let's call it nothing.txt. Okay. Little typo to fix there. Alright, let's give that a shot. Open a file. File open from, Good. File save to, I don't know. Well, there we go. Okay. So it's recognizing the correct types now. So the question is, how are we going to handle our callback information? We're going to need the structure of our code. So let's go ahead and make sure we can get that data. There we go. You know it's going to be a struct. Reason. Okay. All right. And now this here matches up more or less what we have over here. So there we go. Now we have to deal with the value, which is our next problem, because our value is an XM string, and we can't just work with XM strings willy-nilly. So it's time that we actually make a few helpers for ourselves. Specifically, how do we get from an XM string to a regular string? And we're going to want to be able to set and clear the text. So XM get string returns a regular C string, and XM set string expects a regular C string. So we're going to need a way to properly handle those, because these are new. XM get string returns a newly allocated string. So we can't just rely on the foreign function interface to do the auto conversion for us, because we'll get a memory leak there. So we're going to want a helper to take these and turn them into regular strings somehow. So let's start with an easier one, this one. Because here we're going to actually make use of memcopy again, but for a slightly more nefarious purpose. Instead of working to do normal conversions, now I'm going to have it do my string conversion for me, because memcopy returns a pointer to the string that it receives. And so I'm going to receive in my character string. I'm going to convert it without doing any copying to a normal string, and then call xtFree on that to free up that resource. And that'll give me my string. And so now, an XM string, we can get access to the regular string by calling XM string unparse, which will give us a regular C string if we pass it the correct values. So if we pass the correct values, we can just pass in XM string unparse, and we can pass it directly to character string. Now, what are the correct settings here? We've got a number of things. The string is always going to be, a standard thing. Our tag we want to be null because we don't want anything special there. And XM char set text for both the tag type and the output type will give us our basic defaults. And then we don't need any parse table, so we use the default parse table with the 0 count. And our packs mode, we also want to use the default output all. Now, char set and output all are some constants that we're going to have to work with. So, and in addition, we're going to have to define XM string unparse somehow. So let's go ahead and get up there and add those in. So XM string unparse. Let's define that. Okay. And this is going to be kind of a larger-ish function. So we got the string pointer, the string tag, the type, both of those, another pointer, and then again some types. And all that's going to return the pointer. And we're also going to, I'm just going to take time to do the getString and setString foreign functions here.